to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, Adam here. Now, if you've ever felt that you're holding on to emotions from your past, maybe things like blame or shame or anger, frustration or guilt, this could be the session for you. I was working with a client that felt that their suppressed emotions or emotions they were holding on to may actually be causing some kind of a health issue. So they wanted a way of releasing that in a way that they didn't have to think about or process sometimes painful memories. So this hypnosis session uses a metaphor of a kayak because they like to kayak. And they're out on the kayak in Scotland they call it a loch, in England we would call it a lake. And there is a metaphor for them to identify suppressed emotions and then imagine them as a pebble or a rock or a crystal in their hand and then throwing that into the lake and seeing it sink. And I think this would be useful for anyone that just wants to clear the slate, to really release any suppressed emotions. So if you feel that that might be possible, have a listen to this session and you might get some value from it. If you like the idea of working with me directly, there will be a link in the description or the show notes where you can schedule a free consultation call, and there's also a suitability test there as well. For now though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you're not going to be disturbed, relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close and position your body in such a way that you increase your ability to really let go, to feel calm and relaxed. And as you breathe in, just scan your body for any clues of tension, maybe around the jaw, the neck or the shoulders, and set the intention to release. So much so that in your outward breath, you could imagine that tension leaving your body. Breath by breath, getting deeper, longer, and more relaxed. Each breath takes you deeper than the last. As you allow everything to slow down your mind and feel that wonderful feeling of letting go. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine breathing in a bright, white, healing light. Imagine breathing in through your nose and imagine that healing white light going down your windpipe, but healing everything around it, around the throat, esophagus, all the way down. The stomach is close to the lungs, and just imagine that healing white light in your lungs. And everything from the stomach upwards is also healing, settling, calming. And imagine that healing white light going down into the gut. So any worries and anxiety also melt away. And the deeper you breathe, more of that healing white light goes in. And as you exhale, just imagine anything corrosive, toxic, or harsh is just leaving your body in your outward breath, making you feel that sense of increasing levels of relaxation and health, and exhaling any tension or toxicity. And the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you become. And the more relaxed you become, the deeper you breathe. And as your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to imagine your physical body remains, but your imagination can float. And just imagine floating out of your body, above your own head, looking down, seeing you there, looking comfortable and relaxed. And just imagine floating through the ceiling, through the roof, into the sky, as you decide to go on an adventure within your imagination. And I wonder if you could imagine a particular lock that you would like to visit. And I want you to imagine floating over hills and valleys, perhaps mountains, to get to that stretch of still water on a peaceful day under sunshine. And just imagine touching down by the side of that water and seeing a kayak. And I want you to get a sense that you feel compelled to get into the kayak and take yourself right into the middle of that still water and feel a sense of peace, of relaxation. And maybe you can imagine hearing the gentle movement of water against the kayak. Maybe you could imagine the feeling of warm sunshine on your skin, a freshness in the air. And I want you to get a sense that this is a healing ritual. There are many health conditions that are caused by diet, and many that are caused by genetics. But one less detected cause can be the psychosomatic ripple effect of holding on to emotions. I want you to imagine if someone was stressed every single day, that might lead to health issues, either because of what the stress does biochemically or what they do as a coping strategy to manage that stress. So when people say that stress is a killer, it's not the stress, it's the implications of that stress. But here in this kayak, in the middle of this still water, I want you to feel that right now is a good time to let go of any suppressed or hidden emotions. If you think of something like a grudge, isn't that holding on to anger or resentment, sometimes months or even years after the original event? And you can consider that an unuseful, and some would say a toxic emotion. And what if you don't need to hold on to any unresourceful emotions right now? But let's start with an easy one. I want you to scan your body for any feelings of stress. Sometimes stress is there in the neck and the shoulders. Sometimes in the forehead, the temple, or the jaw. Sometimes certain muscles are tensed without us even knowing. And I want you to think of what color you would give to stress. And I want you to imagine locating any stress, either current or historical. And I want you to feel that it is all compressing. Consider stress tiny deposits of minerals, and you're finding all of them together and compressing them. And just imagine that it's all shifting into one of your hands. And I want you to see initially a speck of grit. Just imagine it there in one of your hands, there while you're in the kayak. But that grit turns into a larger cluster of grit, and then perhaps a small pebble or a little stone. Now, how big this stone gets depends on how much stress you can find in your body. And just allow your unconscious to accept the suggestion that it moves into your hand, into the palm of your hand, like it's a physical object, like a stone. And maybe that stone has a color represented by whatever color feels that stress would be. And then when you can imagine that small stone, or even a big stone of historical stress accumulated over the years, when it's there as a physical object now in your hand, let me know by nodding your head. And when you feel that you've held on to this stress for too long or long enough, I want you to imagine either dropping the stone or hurling the stone somewhere into that water. Hear the plop and just know that it's sinking down, all the way down. And you can retain the wisdom as to why that stress came about without needing to hold on to that stress. And when that stress has been released, we can consider that a practice emotion. Because the real emotion we're looking for is anger. And anger can be justified anger or unjustified anger. Because there has been times that you got really angry and only later found out that it was disproportionate to the cause. And sometimes people feel anger in their heart, their gut, sometimes their jaw or somewhere else. And I want you to scan your body for where that anger could be, trusting that your unconscious knows where to find it. And again, moving it into your hand to create an object, maybe a crystal, a stone, a pebble, a rock. You decide what kind. But this might be a heavier object, more intense. And just allow your body to find that anger, but as it moves from those locations into your hand, your body is already starting to feel lighter. And when you feel that you've distilled all of that historical anger into that object in your hand, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And this one we definitely want to throw far, far away. But as you throw it, you feel empowered. And you don't have to forgive anyone to release anger. You just have to decide that you don't want to hold on to that anger anymore. So feel that it's far away, sinking deep, deep down, right to the bottom, never to be found again. And then let's look for blame. Blame can come from judgment of others, but more often than not, it's self-blame, where you are the judge, the jury, and the executioner. And sometimes blame can be like a poison within. Blame can sometimes feel like it has its own location. For some people, it might be the back of the throat or deep down in the torso. Sometimes people, when they let go of shame, say they feel like a weight's been lifted off their shoulders. But I want you to scan your body for any blame. And one of the things that can help speed up that process is to forgive yourself. You've already learned from the past. Some of the things you're blaming yourself for had no malicious intention anyway. And even if it did, you're human. These things happen to all of us. But the blame is optional. Because the purpose of blame is not to punish, but to shift future behavior. To scan your body, feel that blame, perhaps going into the other hand now. And maybe it creates a shiny stone or something heavy like a mineral like iron or lead. And when you feel that any blame or perhaps shame connected to that blame is there in your hand, let me know by nodding your head. And just accumulate even more. Just will it, intend it. Because if the purpose of the blame was to punish yourself, you've already done that. You've paid the price many times over. Anything more would be like serving a prison sentence for a murder, for a speeding ticket. And if you accept that some of this blame or shame or judgment is now disproportionate, no longer serves you, just holds you back, feel it move into your hand, see the object, and then when you're ready, throw it far away from the kayak and see it sink all the way down, deep down. And you can retain the memory. Just lose any emotion connected to any memory. Just feel it all go away. And let's look for any regrets. Regrets can be painful. And there's two things that people tend to regret. The things they did that they wish they didn't. But more often than not, it's the things they never did, but wished they did. So scan your body for any regret. Distill it into a physical object, big or small. Whatever comes up is what it should be. And then allow it to sink deep, deep down. And then let's look for any remaining emotions that are holding you back. This might be sadness, frustrations, guilt. It may be a feeling of unworthiness. I want you to scan your body for any fears, worries, and let's distill all of these emotions into a multicolored stone, almost a fusion of different stones all in one, like an elaborate crystal. And when you have all of them there in that hand, you may notice your body feel lighter, and then just decide to throw that cocktail of emotions deep, deep into the water. But the mind is like nature. It doesn't like a vacuum. So let's replace it with something more useful. I want you to replace it with worthiness, confidence, a deep inner peace. Let's change blame to understanding, anger to compassion, wonderful feelings of self-acceptance. And in doing so, I want you to feel that your body feels lighter, and any volatility inside your body is calming down. I want you to imagine a volcano on the verge of eruption, volatile, corrosive. But I want you to imagine that that's calming all the way down to a dormant volcano. The power still exists beneath the surface, but there is nothing that can erupt, corrode, or burn. And still breathe in that healing white light, soothing whatever needs to be soothed, and healing whatever needs to be healed. And as you go back to the shore in that kayak, if anything else comes up, a thought, a belief, a feeling that is unresourceful, just imagine capturing it and throwing it overboard and just seeing it sink down. As this is wiping the slate clean of those historical emotions. And just before you get to the surface, scan your body for any hate. It may not exist, but if it does, that can be a very potent emotion. Anything or anyone that you hate, just scan your body for the feeling connected to that, and just decide to throw that overboard too. And then when you get to shore, just notice how much healthier and lighter you feel. And I want you to imagine that there will be a ripple effect in your mind that will affect your nervous system, which will affect hormones and neurotransmitters, which will affect unconscious physiological reactions. So don't be surprised now that you've let go of these emotions if your body feels like it's safe to just sleep, to relax. Nothing you need to do and nothing you need to be. Just accepting. And what if that enables wonderful physical changes to happen, to give you more choices, more options, and a better quality of life? Imagine you're now back on the shore, and imagine you're floating all the way back up into the sky, but carrying all of these wonderful new emotions with you, remembering that those heavy, perhaps toxic emotions are now at the bottom of that deep lock. So floating all the way back, seeing yourself, and then climbing back into your own body, but taking these feelings with you. And very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting the count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. And if you've enjoyed this show or got some benefit from it, you may know of one other friend or family member that may also benefit from this hypnosis session, in which case I'd like to ask a favor of you, and that is if you could spend 10 seconds to share this episode with someone that you know that may also benefit. That would really help me to access new people that don't already know about this show. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you again on the next episode.